Hello, esteemed gentlemen. Should have left him alone while you still had the luxury of being ignored. Because when a Sigma male takes revenge, it isn't loud, it's not emotional, it's surgical. He doesn't scream, doesn't post cryptic captions, and sure as hell doesn't beg for closure. He quietly and permanently. Here's a little fact for you. Studies show that emotionally detached individuals are far more likely to exact long-term strategic revenge without ever being detected. Translation: if a Sigma male is quiet after betrayal, he's not healing, he's calculating. And the worst part, his revenge doesn't even look like revenge. It looks like your name never being mentioned again. Your social games collapsing without explanation. You checking his page and realizing you've been ghosted by a lifestyle upgrade. See, when an average man wants revenge, he lashes out. When a Sigma male wants revenge, he becomes the version of himself you can never touch again. And no, he doesn't do it for attention. He does it because he finally remembered who the hell he is. So if you've ever wondered what truly happens when a Sigma male decides to strike back without lifting a single finger, sit tight. Because what's coming isn't just revenge, it's erasure with style. Let's dive in. Number 1. He treats your name like a trigger word that never gets said. He doesn't mention your name, not out of pettiness, but because it genuinely holds no value anymore. You're not an enemy, you're not a lesson, you're not even a mistake worth repeating. You're just deleted. That's how a Sigma male moves when he decides you no longer have a place in his story. He doesn't curse you, subtweet you, or ask the universe to punish you. He just edits you out of existence like you were an irrelevant scene that slowed down the plot. And here's where it gets disturbing. People start noticing. They ask about you. They bring your name up in conversation, expecting a reaction. But all they get is a subtle change in energy, maybe a shift in tone. And then he smoothly pivots the topic as if your name was just background noise. It's unnerving, because you're not just being ignored. You're being erased. There's no trace of bitterness, no clue that something ever went down. Just clean-cut silence that feels sharper than any insult. This kind of revenge isn't about pride or dominance. It's psychological. It's controlled. It hits different when someone doesn't just move on. They behave like you were never even there to begin with. And no, it's not because he forgot. Sigma males don't forget. They remember with precision, but they also don't carry dead weight. If your presence once added noise, chaos, manipulation, or control, he treats you like a virus that's already been quarantined and eliminated. No need to talk about it. The system has been cleaned. It hurts more than hate, because hate still means you matter. But when a Sigma male deletes you from his mind and social universe, you become a non-factor. You'll search his words, his photos, his life, for evidence that you meant something. But you'll find nothing, not even a scar, just upgraded silence. That's his style of revenge, not explosive, not theatrical, just total surgical erasure. And what's left behind isn't just absence. It's the realization that your role was so insignificant, it didn't even deserve closure. Number 2, he turns the wound into a weapon, and the weapon into wisdom. When a Sigma male gets hurt, betrayed, or crossed, he doesn't collapse. He doesn't spiral or broadcast his pain for sympathy. What he does is far more dangerous. He processes it in silence. And in that silence, he doesn't just heal. He transforms. Every cut, every lie, every backstab becomes data. Every disappointment becomes a mental upgrade. And before you even realize it, the very thing that was meant to break him becomes a weapon he now controls. He doesn't just move on, he levels up. And the twisted part, he uses the pain you caused as fuel. He rewires himself. The way he trusts, the way he sees people, the way he filters out noise. You thought you'd shaken him. Instead, you sharpened him. You helped him evolve into someone colder, clearer, and harder to reach. That's the kind of revenge he takes. Not to hurt you back, but to make sure no one like you ever gets close again. You don't get public explosions. You don't get emotional outbursts. What you get is watching him become too smart to fall for the same trap. You get the silent punishment of being the reason he no longer hesitates to cut people off. The reason he no longer overlooks red flags. The reason he now operates with military-level boundaries. And the worst part? He won't even thank you for it. He'll just keep winning without flinching. People will wonder how he became so calculated, so unshakable, so locked in. But he'll know, you'll know. The chaos you caused didn't destroy him. It trained him. And now he walks with a kind of awareness that makes manipulation impossible. He's no longer reactive, he's predictive. And he's not looking for revenge in the traditional sense. He is the revenge, his wisdom, his detachment, his rise. That's what you're left to witness. By the time you realize how much stronger he's become, you'll also realize you're no longer part of his world. And that stings harder than any insult or retaliation ever could, because you didn't just lose him, you helped build the version of him that will never lose again. Number 3, he'll let you think you won until you realize you lost everything. He doesn't react when you expect him to. No shouting match, no emotional fallout, no dramatic exit. He just steps back, quiet, still, unreadable. You think you've outplayed him. You think you've won. But that's exactly what he wants you to think. A Sigma male doesn't come for you right away. He observes. He lets the dust settle while you dance in your false sense of victory. He knows most people are so addicted to their ego that they'll reveal everything once they think they've won. So he waits, patiently, strategically. He's not silent because he's weak. He's silent because he's calculating. While you're celebrating his supposed downfall, he's busy assessing every detail, your patterns, your intentions, your weaknesses. He studies you with clinical precision, not out of spite, but out of strategy. And by the time you realize he never truly left the game, you're already surrounded by consequences you didn't see coming. His revenge is slow, cold, designed. He lets the weight of your own actions catch up to you, and they always do. Not because he forces it, but because he orchestrates the environment where your own choices backfire. Your lies lose value, your influence fades, your mask slips, and there's no one left to help you rebuild it. What makes it worse is that he never says a word. No confrontation, no closure, just silence that grows heavier over time. You start to feel it, the shift. People treat you differently. Opportunities vanish. Respect dissolves. Meanwhile, he's thriving, quietly, effortlessly, completely unaffected by your downfall because he already moved on before it began. You start to realize you didn't just lose him. You lost the privilege of being in his space, of being in his energy, of having access to someone who actually saw through the noise. And once a Sigma male shuts the door, he doesn't open it again. That's when it hits you. Not only did you lose, but you lost everything while thinking you'd won. And that's the kind of revenge you can't recover from, because it doesn't break your heart. It breaks your illusion. Number 4, he becomes what you can't compete with. He doesn't replace you with someone else. That would be too predictable, too basic. Instead, he replaces the version of himself that tolerated you, that bent, that compromised, that stayed too long trying to see the best in someone who never deserved that kind of grace. When a Sigma male takes revenge, he doesn't look outward. He turns inward and begins crafting a version of himself so elevated, so sharp, so unapologetically focused that it makes everything you brought to the table feel like crumbs. This isn't about glow-ups or flexes. It's not some corny comeback story. It's deeper. He levels up in a way that's permanent. His mindset changes. His energy becomes rare. His boundaries turn steel. And while you're still trying to prove a point or get attention, he's already 5 versions ahead, unreachable, uninterested, and unbothered. You don't just get replaced, you get outgrown. And he doesn't even say it. He shows it through his discipline, through the way he moves, through how he no longer reacts to things that used to get under his skin. He's not trying to win you back or make you jealous. He's become someone who wouldn't even see you now. And that silent evolution, that's the sting you didn't prepare for. People around you start noticing, not because he's showing off, but because his presence now demands a different kind of respect. He walks into rooms with an aura that says, "I've been burned, but I turned the flame into fuel." And while you're still thinking about how things used to be, he's become someone who could never be touched by who you were. That's the cruel irony. You're not left wondering why he moved on. You're forced to watch him become someone you were never built to stand beside in the first place. The new version of him doesn't need closure, revenge, or validation. He is the closure. He is the revenge. And he doesn't even look back. There's no comeback line, no final fight, no messy goodbye, just distance. And the sinking realization that you never had a chance against the man he was about to become. Number 5. He manipulates the game without ever touching the board. He does not yell, he does not chase. He does not involve himself in petty arguments or try to control people with obvious moves. A Sigma male operates like a shadow in a well-lit room, always present but never directly seen. While others waste time battling over attention and approval, he steps back and watches the entire game unfold. And then, slowly and quietly, he changes everything. He does not sit at the table, but he still decides who gets to eat. He never needs to be the loudest voice in the room, because he understands something most people never learn. Power is not in the spotlight. It is in the silence behind it. While others are busy reacting, defending, and scrambling to stay relevant, he is influencing things from a distance. He does not touch the board, but the pieces move anyway. That is how dangerous he is. He does not beg to be liked. He becomes so consistent, so grounded, that people begin to question anyone who ever tried to twist his name. He never defends himself, but somehow the truth still rises in his favor. Reputations collapse, alliances shift, and people who once sided against him begin to see through the cracks. He did not manipulate anyone directly, but his presence, his energy, his calm refusal to play your games makes others realize who the real manipulator was. By the time you try to fix what is crumbling, it is too late. The damage is done without a single text, without a single argument, without a single attempt to clear the air. He made his move without making a move. And it works, because people trust what is silent and strong far more than what is loud and desperate. You thought he was gone, that he walked away, that he gave up. But the truth is, he was controlling the outcome the whole time, by not engaging. You never stood a chance. Because while you were busy playing the game, he was rewriting the rules you never knew were being changed. And now you are checkmated by someone who never even stepped on the board. Number 6, he forces you to confront who you really are. He doesn't yell, he doesn't call you out, he doesn't broadcast your flaws to anyone. What he does is far more brutal. He lets you sit with yourself. No distractions, no attention, just the cold, quiet aftermath of your own behavior. A Sigma male doesn't have to destroy you. He just removes himself and lets your own reflection do the damage. At first, you think you've won. You assume his silence means weakness. But as days pass and he stays gone, something strange starts to happen. The high you got from control and manipulation fades. The excuses don't land the same. The version of yourself you convinced others to believe in starts to crack. And now there's no one left to validate the lies you built, no one to fight with, no one to play against, just you. That's when it hits you. It wasn't him you were really at war with, it was the image you were trying to protect. Without him around, there's no mask to wear, no performance to keep up. You're forced to look at who you are when no one's watching, and it stings, because he never insulted you, he never called you out. But he made you face the very things you thought you had hidden. You begin to overthink. You replay every word, every moment, wondering how he saw through you. But he already did, from the beginning. He just didn't say it. He let the silence dig deeper than any argument ever could. The kind of silence that turns every room into a mirror and every day into a slow unraveling. And the most unsettling part, he never needed to punish you, he simply became unavailable. He became peace, and once you've tasted peace, it exposes just how chaotic you really were. You thought he was the storm, but now, alone with your thoughts, you realize you were the storm the whole time. That's the kind of revenge you can't walk away from. Because it's not about him hurting you. It's about you finally seeing the truth, and having no one left to blame. Number 7. He builds empires in the time you waste plotting. While you're busy replaying the drama, crafting petty comebacks, or waiting for him to slip, he's somewhere alone, focused, clear, and building something massive. A Sigma male doesn't stay stuck in emotional loops. He doesn't waste energy on revenge plans that serve no purpose. Instead, he transforms the energy of betrayal into fuel. While others spiral or seek validation, he locks in. He's not sitting around hoping karma does the job. He becomes the karma. He studies, works, creates, and executes. Every insult becomes a sharpened edge. Every letdown becomes a calculated step forward. He turns every setback into structure, every scar into strategy. And the most ironic part? You were so sure he'd fall apart without you. But he didn't just survive, he expanded. While you were trying to get even, he was getting ahead. Not by chance, but by discipline. No wasted moves, no pointless drama, just quiet execution. You thought silence meant defeat. But in his world, silence is where the blueprints are drawn. And when you finally look up, expecting him to still be where you left him, he's nowhere close. He's already evolved into someone you don't even recognize anymore. By then, it's too late. You're stuck in emotional cycles while he's living out the results of the pain you caused. And the irony bites. You helped create the version of him that doesn't even care enough to retaliate. You made him better by being a lesson. And now he owes you nothing, not even his attention. That's what makes his revenge so powerful. It's not loud, it's not public, it's not even aimed at you directly. It's in how much he grows without you, in how far he rises while you stay stuck, and in how effortlessly he outpaces you without ever trying to compete. By the time you finally consider fixing things, he's built something too solid to need anyone. He's 5 moves ahead, out of reach, and entirely uninterested in looking back. Number 8. He erases you so completely you doubt your existence. He does not unfollow you. He does not block you. He does not go online ranting or dropping hints. He just goes silent, permanently. But it is not the kind of silence that fades with time. It is the kind that feels like you never existed in the first place. A Sigma male does not erase you in anger. He erases you with precision. No drama, no warning, just gone. One day you are part of his world, and the next, you are not. He does not need to slam the door or make a scene. He simply stops acknowledging your existence. You are not mentioned. You are not remembered. You are not mourned. And that kind of erasure is more brutal than any insult or confrontation. You begin to feel it in the quiet moments. You check his page. Nothing. You try to ask mutual friends. They say he never brings you up. There is no trace of hurt, no bitterness, just calm, focused progression. It is like you were edited out of his story so cleanly, even the memories forgot your name. That kind of indifference cuts deeper than hate because hate still means you matter. With him you don't even register. It messes with your mind. You start to question whether what you had was ever real. Did he care at all? Was it all in your head? That is the power of a Sigma male's detachment. He doesn't just remove you from his life. He removes the emotional gravity that made you feel important in the first place. He is not trying to make you feel bad. He is not trying to send a message. That is what makes it worse. He has just moved on in a way that is so full and complete. It feels like your presence was nothing more than background noise. No scar, no wound, just empty space where once there was something, or at least you thought there was. And in that psychological vacuum, you're left not just missing him, but doubting yourself. That's not just revenge. That's a quiet annihilation. Number 9. He plays the long game with inhuman patience. A Sigma male never rushes revenge. He is not driven by ego, nor does he crave instant satisfaction. If you wrong him, he does not explode. He does not retaliate in the moment. Instead, he steps back and enters a mode that few can detect. Pure, deliberate calculation. While most people seek fast payback to soothe their pride, he is busy building something much more painful and far more permanent. His silence is not forgiveness. It is preparation. He understands that true revenge is not about clapping back. It is about timing, and his timing is ruthless. He can wait months, even years, because he knows something you don't. Nothing ruins someone quite like watching the consequences of their own actions arrive just when they thought they got away with it. He observes. He tracks patterns. He identifies the weak points in your armor that even you do not see yet. And while you're out living carefree, convinced he's moved on, he is working quietly, not to destroy you, but to outgrow you so far that your eventual regret becomes your prison. That's his revenge. Not rage, not drama. Distance and evolution. By the time the sting hits, he is no longer within reach. The version of him you once knew is gone, replaced by someone smarter, colder, more refined. You begin to feel the weight of your choices, but the window to fix it has long closed. That is the part most people do not expect, the delay. The way Sigma males make their absence feel like punishment, not because they inflict it, but because your mind starts to punish itself. He is not watching to see you suffer. He simply made sure you would, not through vengeance, but through consequence. And he was patient enough to let the timeline unfold without needing to interfere. That is why his revenge hits harder than any outburst ever could, because it arrives when your guard is down, when you least expect it, when you're no longer able to recover. It's not just a lesson, it's a sentence, and by the time you feel it, he is already gone. Number 10. He forces you to chase closure he'll never give. Sigma males don't offer closure because they know what it really is, emotional currency. And once you've broken trust, you've lost the right to spend any more of it. They won't sit down for that long, drawn-out conversation. They won't text you back with a neat explanation. They won't clarify, validate, or play therapist to your confusion. Instead, they vanish from the emotional contract. Not because they're cruel, but because giving you closure would give you control. And they don't owe you that. So you're left pacing mental hallways that lead nowhere. You reread old messages, looking for hidden meanings. You replay every interaction, convinced there's something you missed. Maybe he still cares. Maybe he's just testing you. Maybe he'll reach out eventually, but he won't. Because to a Sigma male, closure is something you earn through honesty and integrity, not something you get after betrayal. This is the part that torments people the most. They expect anger. They expect revenge. What they don't expect is emptiness. No drama, no conclusion, just silence so sharp it echoes. And in that silence, your thoughts start eating themselves. You imagine different endings. You fantasize about what you'd say if you had one last conversation, but it never comes, and it never will. Meanwhile, he's not stuck in that loop. He's not wondering how you feel. He's not watching your posts or asking mutual friends about you. He's forward-focused, already deep into a version of his life that doesn't include you and honestly never needed to. That's the sting. Realizing you're haunted by someone who's no longer haunted by you. Your punishment isn't being yelled at or blocked. It's being ignored so completely that you're forced to build your own closure from the rubble you created. And every time you search for answers, all you find is the same brutal truth. He's not coming back to explain. He already told you everything with his silence. Sigma males don't give closure because they are the closure. The moment they stop engaging is the final chapter. And whether or not you understand it, accept it, or forgive yourself for it, that's now your burden to carry, not his. Number 11. He turns people against you without saying a word. He never mentions your name. He never tells his side. He doesn't warn people about you or drop hints to ruin your reputation. That would require giving you energy, and a Sigma male has better things to invest in. What he does instead is simple and brutal. He keeps showing up as the most grounded, focused, and unfazed version of himself, and that alone does the damage. People notice. They always do. They remember how you acted. They remember the drama, the shifts, the strange moments that didn't quite add up. At the time, maybe they gave you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you were convincing. But now they see him. Calm, clear, disciplined. There's no victim energy, no bitterness, no attention-seeking, just quiet growth. Just someone who clearly doesn't need to talk trash to maintain his dignity. That's when the doubt starts to creep in. Not in him, but in you. People start to wonder, why would someone like that need to lie? They compare the stories. They notice your tone, your contradictions, your need to explain too much. And they compare it to his silence, his stillness, his refusal to entertain the circus. Suddenly, you look loud, defensive, off balance. And he hasn't even said a single word about you. That's what makes it so painful. You wanted to control the narrative. You wanted to walk away looking clean while painting him as cold or complicated. But now your version of the story is falling apart, not because he exposed it, but because he didn't need to. His consistency, his character, and his calm presence do more damage to your lies than any argument ever could. You handed him the ammunition through your own behavior, and he never had to fire a shot. People start to pull away from you. Conversations feel different. Trust shifts. You don't know what happened, but you feel it. The tide turned, and all he did was stay real. That's the kind of revenge you never see coming. The kind where your credibility collapses without him ever opening his mouth. Number 12. He doesn't need karma. He becomes it. He doesn't sit around hoping the universe will handle you. He becomes the storm you thought you'd avoid. No threats, no revenge plot, no dramatic comeback. Just pure, undeniable evolution that quietly shatters everything you believed about power, consequence, and control. That's a Sigma male's way. He doesn't scream, "You'll regret this." He just makes sure you do without ever saying a word. You thought karma would come in some poetic, delayed form, that maybe someday someone would treat him the way you did. But instead, the opposite happens. He grows. He thrives. He detaches so ruthlessly that your name no longer exists in his orbit. You become a chapter he won't even reread, because the story gets better without you. His peace becomes louder than your excuses, and his silence becomes the loudest answer you'll ever get. And here's the part no one tells you. The better he becomes, the worse you feel. Not because he's trying to make you jealous, but because his glow exposes what you tried to dim. Every move he makes reminds you of your own mistake. Every success becomes a mirror showing you what you lost, what you never deserved, and what you'll never access again. He is the karma. You don't need to wait for balance. He is the balance. You won't find closure in watching him suffer because he doesn't. You won't see justice in his downfall because it doesn't come. What comes instead is a new version of him so focused, so elevated, and so unreachable that it unsettles everything inside you, because deep down you know, if you had treated him right, you could have witnessed it from beside him. But now, you're a distant spectator watching the consequences unfold in the form of his power, his purpose, and his total detachment. He didn't curse you. He didn't try to destroy you. He just became something you'll never be able to touch again. That's the karma. That's the haunting. And that's why the Sigma male doesn't need revenge. His existence becomes the justice. When a Sigma male takes revenge, it's not loud, it's surgical. He doesn't swing wildly, he dismantles with precision. No theatrics, no warnings, just an unshakable calm that makes the damage irreversible. His silence becomes a language, his growth a weapon, and his absence a haunting lesson. You don't see him coming because he never comes back. He moves forward, builds higher, and leaves you trapped in the rubble of your own underestimation. He doesn't chase revenge. He becomes the consequence. While others seek closure, validation, or petty wins, the Sigma male evolves into something you can't reach, can't read, and can't recover from. His revenge is never about proving you wrong. It's about becoming so untouchably right that your betrayal becomes your legacy, not his. And that's the true power. He doesn't burn bridges. He erases the entire map. By the time you realize what you've lost, he's already built a kingdom in a place you can't pronounce, let alone access. That sting you feel, that's not revenge, that's reality catching up to your decisions. So, if you ever think a Sigma male is too quiet, too detached, or too calm after betrayal, be careful. He's not broken. He's not waiting. He's calculating. And when his silence finally speaks, it won't scream. It'll echo through your regrets, your doubts, and the space he used to occupy. Thank you for watching. If this hit deep, make sure to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss what most people aren't brave enough to say. Until next time, stay sharp, stay aware, and never underestimate silence.